technology and hair. That's what we're going to be talking about today, or like Jim and I like to say, the lack of hair.
I like that. Right.
So, yeah, pull that over closer to you there, Jim.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, for just a few seconds there anyway. So,
Well, I had it for our guest,
yes,
a special guest.
Yes, but
microphone.
we have to have our little
I'm not
banter all the
special.
time.
I am special.
Okay.
So, all right. We'll get to you a second here in a second.
Yeah.
Yeah. Today is National Hair Day, so we're going to talk about hair health and all that good stuff. In studio, we have producer extraordinaire Jim Walsh.
Do we have a cure for baldness yet?
I think we might find that out today.
Oh.
We're going to find out a little bit about that
Good.
today. So, Rockin' Dave Blairsden, Andrea Burst with Glance Spa and Salon here in Bismarck, North Dakota, and our very special guest, Cara Mund. She's the 2018 Miss America.
There she is.
So excited to have you here today.
And she's looking gorgeous as
She
ever.
is, yes. All
You
right.
know, she's got my TV.
You have to
Dave.
talk into the mic. Talking to the mic, Dave. So, all right. So we're just going to kind of get into it a little bit. So, Jim, have you, do you, you and I are about the same age.
Yeah.
Do you fret about your hair at all anymore, or do you?
Yes and no.
I mean, you're like me. I think you have like one hair left, and you are creative with how you
I'm
comb
very
it, right?
thin on top.
Yeah,
I
me
have
too.
barely enough to justify the comb over.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I try to fluff mine up a little bit, but for whatever reason, it falls over into the comb-over thing now. I don't know if it's just on purpose that it does that because I'm at the age I am. I tried not to do the comb-over, and it still gets there.
Well, I asked my wife, I thought about shaving my head. And she said, no, not till you lose the weight. Otherwise, you're going to look like one of the Three Stooges.
Ah, interesting. What will I look like then?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's not a good thing. So, And Dave, how about you? Do you think about the hair loss thing a little bit, or?
You know, I used to, but I don't too much anymore. I mean, I want to have, my hair in place, so I gel it up pretty good. And the coloring doesn't bother me either. I'm getting gray, and that's just the way it is, right? And we talked with Andrea kind of a little bit about this, too, is that a lot of the younger men that have dark hair are actually starting to add gray to their hair, correct?
Yeah, well, gray is a very popular color right now for hair. So, hey, you're right with what's popular.
I'm styling, I'm in that GQ magazine, yes.
Well, I like gray. Gray doesn't bother me at all.
Well, I guess I keep mine a little dyed occasionally. So I have a shampoo that I use that's supposed to bring it back to the natural color.
Right.
It doesn't work because my hair, I think, is the darkest it's ever been. So I don't think it works very well. Andrea's giving me that eye.
Fix you up a little
I
bit
know.
later.
I'm excited to see what you're going to be doing with my
fun.
one hair today. So this is exciting.
It is very exciting.
Going to get your hair cut, snip. Boom,
Yes, exactly.
And Cara's going to get her hair done too, so it's going to be an exciting day.
Yeah.
She
So
has a lot more hair than you, though.
I'm thinking hers is going to take a little bit more. Although I've grown mine out. I've been letting it grow out in anticipation of today. So just letting you know that.
I have to comment on Cara's wardrobe. It's lovely, but you're wearing sandals. Your toes must be freezing.
No. My pants are too long. I'm one of the shortest Miss Americas ever, and so I have to wear heels, and I didn't want to wear boots today, so I thought, why let the North Dakota weather get to me yet?
Okay.
You're faking it.
Yep. As long as I don't go outside.
I used to have this thing from October 15th or from April 15th to October 15th that was shorts no matter what. As I've gotten older, I've gotten a little weaker with that too, so especially on days like today. So, well, okay, let's get into technology and hair a little bit. So, Andrea, why don't you talk a little bit about what you do at your salon and a little bit about the technology that you use?
Well, at Glance, we do all hair services. So there's technology everywhere. I mean, even from mixing our hair color to all the tools that we use to do people's hair. But since we're talking about hair loss, one thing that I will point out that a lot of people probably don't know that we offer at Glance, and that is laser hair therapy. So Laser Hair Therapy of North Dakota is actually a great thing for all three of you men sitting in this room. It could be helpful. But what it actually does is it's a procedure that uses red light therapy along with a regimen of products to, over time, grow your hair back. So it's not an overnight thing. It's not a quick fix. It is a little bit of a process, and there needs to be some dedication involved. But, we're probably going to take a peek at your scalp a little later too, Marlo, and tell you if those hair follicles have any life left in them yet.
So is that the thing? You just have to find out if they have life or not?
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, how is that different from the hair transplant, or is it different?
It's very different. Yeah, this is not a surgical thing at all. It's just a cosmetic red light laser that you would sit under. And the red light is actually really healing. You know, women use it to heal, like, facial scars or acne, things like that. So really what it's doing is promoting the nutrients, the blood flow to your scalp to make that hair grow again. And it actually, in our bodies, women and men, it's the DHT that's blocking your follicles from producing hair. So
how is it that it blocks the follicles on my head but not the rest of my body? That's what I've always wondered.
Well, it's due to how your hair follicles are in your scalp, and the area, our bodies just are more prone to produce it on our scalps. And men, if you always notice, bald right through here, and females are different. So that's why it's called male pattern baldness.
Right.
And females typically will lose hair and thin all over their head, not just right on the top like men.
All right.
Yeah, so it's different, but it's interesting. We can show you even later today some before and after pictures, and then there's some maintenance involved after, but you'll learn all about it.
I love how you keep glancing up at my head
I
when
do.
you talk. Yeah, it's amazing to me. It's just like,
it's
like, we're talking about it. So, yeah.
I got a question. Does, with males, we start losing testosterone, right? And women start losing estrogen. But it always seems like with men, hair grows more, comes out of their ears, it grows faster, and nose. And women have started getting facial hair. So does the estrogen, testosterone have issues, obviously, with hair as well?
Yeah, well, men and women have both female and male hormones, estrogen, testosterone in there. But predominantly hair issues are your male hormones. So unfortunately, yes, women too get hair as we get older in places that we don't want. And, it's something that we will, fight the rest of our lives, unfortunately.
But there are more and more technologies that are coming out that are helping with this and making this process a lot easier, correct?
Yes,
okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
And it's only going to get better.
And you've seen progress? I mean, you've used these treatments already with people, and you've seen progress with hair growth and that type of thing when that's what they want. Yes,
it's actually amazing. And everyone's different, so it just depends on how quickly you can grow your hair back.
Right. I know I did an interview with a company a couple of years ago. I think you and I talked about that at one time. It was this helmet that I put on that was a red light type of treatment, but we laughed so much about it because she said that I was not a candidate for that particular treatment.
Well, we're going to find out.
I'm excited to find that out. So, all right, after the break, everybody, we'll continue our conversation, hair, health, and technology with Andrea Burst with Glance Spa and Salon and Cara Mund, 2018 Miss America.
Currently, it's 41.
Here's Sean Hannity, weekday afternoons on Super Talk 1270.
Follow the Guru of Geek at Facebook.com/The Tech Ranch or Twitter at Guru of Geek or TheTechRanch.com. Here again is your Guru of Geek, Marlo Anderson.
And we want to thank everybody who follows us across the country and around the world on the Blueberry Network or on the Tech Podcast Network. If it's Tech, it's here. Or on iTunes, Tuned In, Roku, Apple TV, Radio, and of course our own apps, Radio Pub and Super Talk 1270. All kinds of places you can catch the show live or in a rebroadcast, which you may want to do sometime in the future, especially with the guests we have today. In studio, producer extraordinaire Jim Walsh, rockin' Dave Blair, my sidekick here at the show. From Glance Spa and Salon in Bismarck, North Dakota, Andrea Burst, and 2018 Miss America, Cara Mund. So we have a full studio today. In fact, I think this is the maximum we could put in the studio.
Probably.
Just saying. It's a small studio, so yeah. But it's fun to have everybody in. So, Dave, you have some questions for Cara. I know everybody wants, we're going to get into the tech stuff a little bit, but of course, everybody's curious about you, Cara. And, you just finished your reign as Miss America. And I think a lot of people around the country want to know what you're up to now. So go ahead, Dave. I know you got.
Well, no, and I think it's really interesting that, you know, when we were talking between breaks, that Cara still has a heavy schedule of travel. Probably not as much as when you were the reigning Miss America, but it's kind of cool to hear someone maybe you can tell some of the clients, you know, you're traveling here this next week, and you know what it's like to be out of that role of current Miss America, because you're always going to be Miss America 2018. So tell us a little bit about what you're doing right now.
Yes, so I gave up my title of Miss America 2018 about 3 weeks ago. So the first 2 weeks I came back and kind of just decompressed, figure out what it is that I want to do in the upcoming year. I had a lot of people reach out wanting to book me as a former Miss America who weren't able to hear my story, or, you know, instances that happened over the last year that want to hear it now. And so that's very fortunate that I'll be able to continue a speaking tour throughout the next year, maybe a year and a half. We'll see how long that wave goes. But really, I've been speaking. I have universities booked. I was just in Atlanta at Coca-Cola Scholars, so getting to speak at the World of Coke was pretty amazing. You know, all these opportunities are very similar to that I had as Miss America, but now it's kind of on my terms, and the content is all of mine. I'm no longer censored or being kind of controlled as to what I can and cannot say, which has been very nice as well.
That's probably been was that the most frustrating thing you had by being Miss America, is not being able to really express who you are and what you want to say to your audience out there as well, right?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And so getting to talk about things that I'm passionate about, such as the Make-A-Wish Foundation, Children's Miracle Network, hospitals, the cost of education, healthcare issues, those are all things that I'm excited now to go out and be able to talk about.
So go ahead.
I was just wondering about that mold that you were placed into, right, as Miss America. Were you comfortable with that most of the time, or was it very uncomfortable most of the time?
At the start of the year, my job was amazing, and I absolutely loved it. We ended up having a leadership change about 3 months in, and it slowly got to the point where it was an uncomfortable working environment. And so getting to talk about that, too, as a 24-year-old, how do you kind of navigate those waters? And especially when you are a public figure, and you're always going to be a public figure. So making sure that everything you say and do is accountable, you're open, you're transparent, to make sure that for all others, they can look up and say, you know, she spoke out. I think I can too if they're ever in a similar situation.
Sure. I think the challenge is that what a lot of people don't understand is that it really is just a job, isn't it?
It is.
You know?
It is. And, yeah, I mean, you're traveling across the country. You're changing locations about every 48 hours. You are an employee of the organization. And so there's set standards when you're an employee that should be adhered to, no matter what that business is.
So, you know, part of what brought you into this limelight was, you know, looking at it from the prospect of the situation of, you know, promoting our state, right? And you've been a great ambassador for that. I mean, it's really cool that we have somebody coming out of our state, Bismarck too, that for the first, you know, North Dakota representative being Miss America. What did that mean to you? What I mean, really, what was the heartbeat behind that?
Yeah, it was amazing. That night, you know, I had this goal of making history for North Dakota, and I didn't know what that meant. If that meant making top 5, we had never had a woman in the top 5. We only ever had 3 in top 10, and so I was like, if I can make it a top 10 and maybe top 5, I think I'll do just that. And it ended up, you know, that I walked away with the title, which was a huge honor in itself. And then there's also a big responsibility with it. When you're the first one to do something, you kind of set the precedent of, you know, what it means to be a North Dakota Miss America. And so that was something that I always thought about, and knowing the legacy that I would leave. Being the first from North Dakota was always a huge aspect that'll follow me.
So
go ahead.
We both have questions here,
I know
so,
that.
I'm curious what is probably outside of maybe the little bit of controversy that you had during your reign. What was the biggest thing that stood out for you during the year?
Of exciting things?
Yeah. Something that, 50 years from now, you're going to look back and you say, oh, my goodness, I was, outside of getting crowned Miss America, I mean, is there something that really happened to you during the course of the year that was truly exceptional?
Yeah, it's pretty funny. So I competed 4 years to win the title of Miss North Dakota, and that was the goal. I never thought that I'd be Miss America. I never thought I would see a girl from North Dakota become Miss America. And so my third year competing, I had already graduated college. I didn't have a backup plan. I was going to be Miss North Dakota. And unfortunately that year I was first runner-up, and I was crushed, and I didn't have a job. I didn't have a way to pay back my student loans. So I was very fortunate to get an internship with Senator Hoeven in D.C., and that kind of fueled my passion for law and for politics. But here I was, an intern in D.C., and I thought, maybe I'll come back and compete one more time for the title of Miss North Dakota. And so when I won Miss America, Senator Hoeven actually asked me to be his guest at the State of the Union. So in about a year and a half, I went from an intern for the senator to his featured guest, which was pretty remarkable. And I think I was the youngest person in the gallery at the State of the Union, and it was just one of those great moments because that I got to represent North Dakota and everyone that made me who I am.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool story.
I think what's really cool is the perseverance that we all need, but especially you, is saying, I was runner-up in Miss North Dakota, but I still think I can become Miss North Dakota and then ultimately become Miss America, because you had to go in there saying, I know I can do this. I can become North Dakota's first Miss America.
Absolutely, absolutely. And, every year I kept thinking I failed. And then when I finally did win the title of Miss North Dakota, I felt so well prepared for Miss America that on that final night on the telecast, I wasn't nervous. I had competed how many times, and I was so well prepared. And even throughout my year as Miss America, there were so many times where it was like, I've done this before. I'm so well prepared for the job.
Right.
We talk a lot about, Dave and I do a lot of stuff with startup businesses in the country and across the state. And the two messages that I always come across are perseverance, and consistency. The fact that you were in, I didn't know this about you. You actually ran for Miss North Dakota, or were in the pageants 4 times.
I did.
You were passed over 3 other times just to get to Miss North Dakota, and then when you become Mr. North Dakota, you become Miss America. That's incredible.
She's tough.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
What's really cool is I'm sure all the other contestants that became Miss North Dakota are going, I beat Miss America this year. And
Exactly.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
I have a question. You remember the question that they asked you? I think it was that back down to the top 5. They asked you a question. Do you remember that question?
Yeah, it was my thoughts on the Paris Accord and President Trump's decision to pull out of it.
Okay, and what was your reply? I can't remember. I mean, I watched it, but I don't remember.
Yeah, in that moment, I wasn't nervous, but you kind of just go into, autopilot, and so however you feel is what comes out. And I said, whether you believe in climate change or not, it's the importance of being at the table and having a voice. And so I didn't agree with it. And even during my year as Miss America, there's a quote that kind of summarizes my year, and it's related to that onstage question actually. And I heard it on the road, and it's fight for your seat at the table, because if you're not at the table, you're on the menu.
Awesome.
That's good. That's very good.
Really good.
Yep.
So we're talking about technology. What did you see this last year of being Miss America and being going to different companies and seeing what was going on? What stuck out in your mind as something that was like, wow, this is really cool that we're doing here in the United States? Does anything come to mind?
Yeah, I got to tour Google at one point. I did an event with Microsoft. Just even as Miss America, you're given this platform on social media in which other Miss Americas, 10 years back never had. And so to be able to connect with individuals. So while I was being told all about the innovations that are happening, and there's even, people my age that are working on those kind of projects, you realize that technology affects everyone, specifically with social media, and everything you say and do can easily be put in a tweet or can be put on Facebook and spread across. And so any message, any statement you make in an an interview can easily be put out and immediately completely shift the dialogue. So having that direct experience with that and being, going from Cara as a local title holder to Miss North Dakota to Miss America, where you have a following like on Instagram of 189,000 people, how that can change and the impact and influence you have.
Sure, and we'll have more with 2018 Miss America Cara Mund after the break.
Currently, it's 41.
The Red River Farm Network. Ag News is here on Super Talk 1270.
We're back to the Tech Ranch. Stream this program now at supertalk1270.com. Here is your guru of geek, Marlo Anderson.
And it's all about hair today, as it's National Hair Day. Hair Day, National Hair Day. Since I don't have any, I can't say the word, I guess. But that's exactly right. And of course, if you're looking to see if it's trending, it is. Hashtag National Hair Day. For those of you over 35, that would be the pound sign first, not the hashtag sign. Did it ever confuse you, Dave, when you started seeing that right away?
No.
You always knew that was
I'm
hashtag.
confused all the time, so it didn't.
It took me like 2 years.
Yeah.
And I'm in the social media space, and I'm like, what is this pound sign all the time in front of stuff? And I'm like, oh, it's a hashtag. So it gets popular, in studio, of course, Rockin' Dave Blair, producer extraordinaire Jim Walsh from Glance Spa and Salon here in Bismarck, North Dakota, Andrea Burse, and the 2018 Miss America Cara Mund. And Cara was just talking a little bit about her last year. We appreciate you being frank about that. So we're going to get into social media a little bit now, since you kind of ended on that space. Mm-hmm. National Hair Day, like I said, is starting to trend for the day. You've been a trending topic. So what was that like when you were a trending topic?
Oh, it was an interesting time. And I think, the issues that I faced are issues that not just I faced as Miss America, but women in the workplace face. And that was why it was so important to come forward and be able to be that voice and inspiration for those that can't be heard. And that's one of the best parts of social media, is to be able to hear about other people's stories. I think a lot of times we think our situations may be unique just to ourselves, or the battles that we're going through are things that are just happening to us. But by having this network, we're basically the world's at our fingertips. We're able to see, is someone else facing something very similar to me? How did they handle this? Like, do they have tips, advice, whatever it may be, to help me get through mine in the same, not just in struggles, but in celebrations as well, and figuring out how individuals got to be successful, and kind of seeing, well, this is what they did, maybe I'll try something similar. And then also being able to promote things that, we're passionate about, being able to talk about National Hair Day on social media, putting it out, and people, far beyond that aren't able to come to the salon that we're at today are able to see what we're doing, and how we're celebrating and how we're making an impact right in our community.
So did people reach out to you through a hashtag? Sharing their stories? Did you go and look at the people that were sharing these stories to you?
Yeah. Actually, there was a trending hashtag that was Stand with Cara,
right?
Which was pretty amazing. Mm-hmm. So I went from a time when I felt very alone and I wasn't able to talk about the struggle and didn't think people knew what I was going through, to all of a sudden it being overnight, kind of just expand and exploded, and people now knew and were able to share their stories. There was a title holder in Colorado who actually gave up her local title to stand with me and say that she doesn't believe in that. There was another individual out of Arizona who shared her story and had the courage to do so. Just last weekend, there were numerous women that weren't involved in the pageantry system, but said, and ranging in a variety of different ages, that said, I face something very similar to yours, and it kind of just gave me the courage to know that, I could speak up, or women who said, I still can't speak up, but to know that you're talking about it is really important. And so, social media is just such an amazing avenue when used appropriately.
So, of course, it goes the other way as well.
Oh,
but we could make the case for and against on both sides, and I can give you significant cases as to why we've had some challenges in the country, too, over the past few years because of social media. Mm-hmm. But I think for the most part, I'd go that 80-85% space it's used for good. Mm-hmm. I think all of us get tired of the political stuff that's going on right now.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I have the ability to reach out to friends and family that I haven't reached out to in some of them decades, older than you, actually, Dave's giving me that look now, but you've had that experience too, haven't you?
Oh, yeah, for sure. And, you know, I think our country's in a position right now where, and this goes back to what we've talked about too, and with National Day calendar, and the slogan is celebrate every day. Yeah. Because we have something really good that, and today it's celebrate every day by being National Hair Day. And it's not so much about, it's not so just so much about me or Cara or Andrea, or it's about trying to make a difference. And I don't know, the Celebrate Every Day movement is really cool. And I think, you know, obviously moving in that direction with a TV show that we're going to be working on. And but, you know, if you think back about your reign as Miss America, and would you do it over again?
So it's interesting. I've got this question a lot, and I'm very fortunate to have been Miss America.
Right.
It's a title that's going to follow me throughout the rest of my life, and has given me a platform and a microphone to now speak out. Where if I faced these kinds of issues and didn't have that platform or microphone, I don't think it would have as big of an impact my voice would. So despite the fact that I had quite a few struggles the last 9 months, that was just 9 months, and the impact that I can make now is going to continue to last a lifetime. And so I wouldn't change the title or earning the title if I could have changed the circumstances a little bit sooner, maybe. But everything's in retrospect now.
So we have to talk about technology a little bit on the show, of course. So we're going to do a little version of App Wars now. And Cara's being surprised by this, of course. But so App Wars is, I'm going to give you an app I have on my phone, and you're going to try to outdo me with an app you have on your phone. Okay. Simple as that. So first of all, you are an iPhone or an Android user?
I am an iPhone user.
Oh, this is even better because I'm Android. So
and you are.
I'm iPhone too.
Okay,
yeah.
so
yeah, and I'm Android. So you know,
and Jim will be the great. Yep. So Jim is Droid as well. So we're all old men.
Girls again.
Yeah. And yeah. So it's interesting. The dynamics between iPhone users and Android users. But so I'm going to just start off, since your calendar is so important to you. You know, I use the most basic calendar in the world, Google Calendar. So how about you?
I use Google Calendar too.
Yay! Yeah. So what's your favorite part of Google Calendar?
Ooh. So I am a huge Apple user, and so the fact that but I mean, this is for anything, but, you know, being able to have it right on my phone, then goes to my laptop, goes to my iMac, whatnot, is it's so accessible, is so easy, you know, wherever I may be, the ability to share it with other individuals. My work calendar actually went from the calendar on the iPhone to then being Google Calendar, and I really liked the being able to color code, being able to do whatnot with that, and it being instant, the changes. Where the other calendar, it might have taken a while. I had to reboot my phone to see those changes, where Google Calendar, I did it immediately.
I think my favorite part of it, other than all of that, which is all fantastic, right, is the Maps feature. Yeah. Right, you throw the address in there, and after a while, it actually gets to know where you're at, and it'll say, "Hey, you should." It gives you reminders like you should leave now, so that you can make your next appointment, type of deal. You know, which I think is kind of cool. So.
I don't even use that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. If you put the address in the address thing, it'll actually start to learn your habits and say, you know, and especially if you don't leave quick enough, it'll actually start reminding you, Dave, you should put this on your phone too. I'm just saying.
That's fascinating.
Because it will actually start nudging you a little bit, saying you need to get out of this meeting now. So,
I'm curious, what app do you use the most on your phone?
It's shifted a lot over the last year. I would have to say Instagram's probably my most used app.
Okay.
Especially with the demographic that I'm reaching, that, you know, is interested in the things that I'm doing at this point. That has my largest following than any of the others.
Andre, what's your most used app?
I would probably say that as well. Facebook, social media things, or you know, just access, you know, email.
Okay.
Probably what I go to the most.
Yep. Dave, how about you?
You know, I'm starting to get more. I've never been a Facebook fan, and then recently with what's come out about being hacked, you know, kind of like, oh, is that gonna do it or not? But I'm getting into more of the Facebook, but LinkedIn has been really good as a business person too, to stay connected with a lot of people out there. So
I'm not a LinkedIn. Are you?
I am, and it became more prevalent this year, just with all the people that I was meeting and whatnot.
I'm not sure. I'm trying to think of what my actual most used app is. It would probably be, I would say Google Drive, because I'm in Drive a lot, creating a lot of stuff. And then Evernote. I keep all my stuff in Evernote. So, Jim, pull the mic over there. What do you use the most?
Pardon me, Cara. Thank you. I'm a Facebook guy.
Okay.
Definitely Facebook all the way.
So, do you ever do you spend more time on Facebook on your mobile than you do on a desktop? Or?
I spend way too much time on Facebook on my mobile.
Okay.
I mean, my wife and I both, we're serious, heavy-duty Facebook people.
Okay.
And what's funny is that, my wife and I, how old, we're all about the same age here. We seem to be the big demographic for Facebook anymore. It's not the younger folks. They've moved on to other things.
They have Instagram, Snapchat. Yep. Those are the ones that the younger people are now using.
Absolutely.
So, yep.
Also, you mentioned LinkedIn. That's another good one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I have found that very useful, and also Twitter. Twitter's fun.
Yeah, Twitter is fun. I didn't give a lot of credit to Twitter right away. You use Twitter quite a bit, Cara?
Yes and no. I kind of go in waves with Twitter. But I have realized that same thing about the demographics. And it is, according to the statistics on my Instagram account, it's those that are between the ages of 13 to 28. And that's the primary demographic. And then I go on to Facebook, and it's so interesting, the difference in comments. What younger people are looking for in social media, what the older people admire. It can be something just as simple as what you're wearing, be a little more conservative on Facebook versus Instagram. Those are all kind of trends that I've seen that are just interesting as a millennial.
So you're stuck in the airport for a couple hours. You catch up with all the communications you got going on or whatever, and you got a half hour to kill. What's your go-to app for that? Do you game with something on your phone? Do you just catch up on social media a little bit more? Or?
I think just catch up on social media. It's so tough with all the different avenues of social media. So when you feel like you've finished one, you've realized you've just been in one app, and then you have to go to the next app.
Okay.
And the next app. So I kind of, while they each have their own specialty, I kind of wish that there was more of just one place to go to rather than having to balance so many different avenues.
Sure. Dave, you got one last one before we go to break?
Well, I think the key that we all kind of run into is that we don't take advantage of a lot of the technologies, and sometimes maybe we rely on them too much as well, okay? So going someplace and Googling maps, so where I'm getting, did you do that today, or did you know where the station was?
I did know where the station was. I've been here before, but I was also following.
Okay.
So that helps too.
Yes,
I got it.
All right, everybody, after the break, we'll continue our app wars as well as a discussion on Make-A-Wish. You want to stay tuned for that.
Currently, it's 42.
Dave Ramsey is heard here. Super Talk 1270.
Follow the Guru of Geek everywhere he goes. Post your comments or questions at thetechranch.com. Once again, your Guru of Geek, Marlo Anderson.
And welcome back, everybody. We are the Tech Ranch. Although we're talking a lot about hair and other things today, as we have Miss 2018 Miss America Cara Mund in studio, and I'm lost here. So
well, no. Here's my question. We're gonna look at National Hair Day, and is hair really important to you, Cara?
Yeah, it's always been a huge importance in my life. Growing up, I always had longer hair, and I did consider, we were talking about cutting it, I did consider in 6th grade cutting it, because all my friends were cutting it, but I didn't do it, and I'm very grateful I did it now, looking back. But for me, hair has always been a confidence booster, and it's always been something where, there's nothing like getting your hair done and walking out of the salon. Yeah. It's always one of my favorite things.
So when did you first engage in going to Glance and meeting Andrea there? I mean, how long ago does that go back?
Oh, quite a while. I'd been to Glance a few times back in high school, and then I went to Brown out in Rhode Island, so I didn't have really a hair place back then. So then I came back home, and as I was preparing for the competition and after working in D.C., I went to a few different places and was getting different cuts and colors and trying to figure out that Miss North Dakota look my last year of eligibility. And I actually went to Glance right before Miss North Dakota trying to get everything that had been done fixed, and Glance did just that. So I had a few weird cuts and a few different colors. I think it was turning a little red, and I was so nervous. But when I walked out of Glance that day, I felt so confident and so ready to compete at Miss North Dakota. And then I was lucky to have won the title, and they're the official sponsor for Miss North Dakota. And when I went to Miss America and I won Miss America, I knew I'd be coming back home, and there's no other salon that I'd trust more than Glance.
That's quite an endorsement.
Yeah.
No,
Wow.
it's true.
Wow.
So you've adopted Make-A-Wish kind of as your official group to have sponsorship. And when I say sponsorship, that's not the right word. But, what got you involved with Make-A-Wish?
Yes, when I was 13, I had two classmates, Amber DeRoche and Kayla Hillstead, out of Horizon Middle School here in Bismarck, North Dakota. Both of them were battling cancer, and on my 14th birthday, Amber passed away. And at her funeral, she asked that all memorials be made to the Make-A-Wish Foundation. I didn't know much about Make-A-Wish at the time, but I did see that it gave Amber that opportunity to kind of live life like an average teenager. And no teenager should ever be stuck, confined to a hospital bed going through those treatments. And so the fact that the organization was able to give her kind of that hope and that inspiration and that normalcy, and not just for her, but for her family as well. And so Kayla was in the wish granting process, but her wish was more than average. And so I thought, well, what can I do to help make it happen immediately? She was further down on the list. There wasn't as much funding in North Dakota, and so she was going to have to wait. And we thought, why don't we put on a charity event? So I went to my school, and there had been a lot of fundraisers that were going on, and I realized that instead of standing back, I just kind of take the initiative myself. I started North Dakota's only Make-A-Wish fashion show, which is pretty exciting. So that was that was 11 years ago now, and I did the show for a full decade. And when I needed a platform or something to advocate for as Miss North Dakota's Outstanding Teen and then Miss North Dakota, Make-A-Wish was just the obvious choice because it was something that I had worked so close with. Not only had I raised the funds, but I actually, when I turned 18, became an official wish granter. So I got to see all aspects of the wish, visiting the family, figuring out what that wish is, raising the funds, and help making it become a reality.
So as Miss America then, go back to, as people are probably figuring out, we're talking about trending topics today, the social media play in this, so and the online stuff. So what kind of money did you raise, if you can say? I think there was like a tally that was on your website, as a matter of fact, as Miss America, for the money that was raised towards or for the Make-A-Wish Foundation. How much money over your year was raised for the organization?
I'm not sure how much over my year. As Miss America, you advocate for a variety of causes, not just your personal platform.
I see.
And I served as the National Goodwill Ambassador for Children's Miracle Network Hospitals.
That's right.
And so it's interesting because I think people think that these are competing nonprofit organizations, but instead, a Make-A-Wish child is often treated in a Children's Miracle Network hospital.
Okay.
A Miracle Network hospital child is often a Make-A-Wish child.
Right.
And so walking into those hospital rooms, it kind of broke down that boundary where if a child, didn't really feel like talking, as soon as you ask them about their wish, then they want to tell you all about it. And so I think, the two platforms together really made me the best Miss America that I could have been. But, throughout the 10 years leading up to becoming Miss America, just through my involvement with Make-A-Wish and the show, I had raised over $80,000. And there was quite a few thousand, I would say, when I was going to do speaking events at a high school or middle school, elementary school, a lot of times that day they would make it a Make-A-Wish day. So the kids could come to my event, and if they wore a crown, they donated $1, and then that went to Make-A-Wish. So there were definitely a variety of things. I unfortunately do not have a tally, and then also that money, it does stay local. So the money raised for the North Dakota chapter of Make-A-Wish goes to North Dakota kids, and that was something that was really important to me as well.
So I think your numbers are way off, by the way. So I know it's in the many millions of dollars that was actually raised during your reign. And I think it's actually much higher than that, but I don't want to say it on the air now because I'm afraid I might be wrong. But your impact was significant Just so you know, between the Children's Network, Miracle Network, and Make-A-Wish. So maybe I'll find that number.
Yeah, that would
and
be
I'll
good.
Post it. So
the other thing
there was a web page that had a running tally of the dollars that were being raised while you were Miss America. So it's very interesting. Yeah.
Well, the other thing we want to let our listening audience know is that National Hair Day, being part of what we're doing at Glance later on this afternoon, is that we're going to be raising money for Make-A-Wish as well.
Right.
You know, so, again, your cause is great. And there's so many good causes out there and that kind of stuff. But, so many times we just have to get behind one or two and saying, okay, this is where I'm going to put my efforts, which obviously you have done.
Yeah. And we should probably just take the last couple minutes. If you want us to just scoot the mic over to Andrea, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you have going on there today, Andrea?
Yeah, so today, in honor of National Hair Day, we'll be at Glance, and Cara's going to be over there getting her hair done, and Marlo, we're going to be doing some live stuff with that. But also this afternoon, starting at 3 o'clock, we're going to have any little girls that would like to come in and for our little event called Tiaras with Cara. So the little girls can come in, get a tiara on their hair, maybe a little lip gloss, take a picture with Cara, and all donated proceeds today will go to the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Also today, Unite Hair is sponsoring National Hair Day for us as well, and any proceeds that are given back to Glance for products bought online today, at unitehair.com, we're going to donate as well back to Make-A-Wish. So. And,
of course, you're the official destination for National Hair Day as well for 2018 in all of the land. So,
very cool.
Yeah, and like I said, I think it'll be a fun thing this afternoon. Really looking forward to having my one haircut.
Yeah, we are
so
too.
I'm just saying, so it should be fun. Join us on Facebook at National Day Calendar in just over an hour, and you'll see Cara and myself and all the team at Glance cutting our hair, I guess. So
yeah,
should be fun. Have a great week, everybody.